So this video will cover capital structure, also known as cost of capital. I will be going through an example with you and show you where to input what values and how to actually calculate WACC. On the right side, you'll see a case study by MedTech Solutions. This was a class activity. If you did not do it in class, you can find it in your study guide. And on the left is our spreadsheet. So in the spreadsheet, you're going to notice a lot of different boxes. For now, you can ignore the extra formulas. This is just something we put there for in case certain question gets asked. None of these questions are actually going to get asked in the exam, but if they do by chance, you've got them up here. And then at the bottom, we've got the market value and proportions, which will be asked. Then we've got the cost of equity, and inside the cost of equity, you can find the Gordon growth model, then the cost of preference shares and the cost of debt, and at the bottom, the weighted average cost of capital. So the question on the right gives us a little bit of different types of information. We've got the capital structure at the top and then additional information at the bottom, and then the pages next are where we insert our answers. So at our capital structure, we have our ordinary shares, preference shares, reserves, bank loan and debentures, and then some additional information is the corporate tax rate. It normally ranges between 27 and 28%. Will most likely sit at 27% for the exam. The current dividend on the ordinary share and the growth rate, and then whether the preference shares and debentures are considered non-redeemable or redeemable. So the first thing we want to do is actually calculate the market value and proportions. So I will insert the correct values over here. I'll speed the video up and I'll highlight what I'm inserting as I go. Right, so once you've inserted the values over here, you'll actually automatically have your answers drawn up over here, as well as the percentages. So you can see that ordinary shares make up 79%, preference shares make up 9%, debentures make up 12%, and the bank loan makes up 28%. A pie chart will also appear to give you a good visual representation. So you can then copy these answers you got over here and already place them in the WACC table down over here. So that should give you a total of 68,300,000 and then the weight of each one, and it should equal out to 100%. The next step is to calculate the Gordon growth model. So we need the current dividend, which can be found right over here. Let me highlight that. There is your current dividend. Highlight that. And then we've also got your growth rate over here. So we can insert that over here, the current dividend of 0.4, the growth rate of 8%, and then the current marketplace, which we did earlier, which is 3.5. Again, that can be found up over here. And it'll give you a percentage of 20.34. It'll automatically insert itself over here. And now we can move on to preference shares. So we know, because since it's stated at the bottom here, that it needs to be non-redeemable. So we can work in this box for preference shares. Preference shares can be found in this sentence over here on the right side, the information we need. So the preference dividend rate is normally found directly after the quantity. This is 12%. The par value, which is R1. And par value is basically the price that the share was at when it was issued, when it was first issued. So when they first gave the share out, it was at R1 and it increased to 2.5 Rand. So that's the market price of the current preference share. Please note that preference shares are different to ordinary shares. And this will give you an answer of 4.8%, which you can then put in yourself right over here, 4.8. Please put it in right here with preference share capital over here. If you were to use redeemable preference shares and get an answer over here, you would insert that answer over there instead. Right, we can follow with debt. We do know that debt is also non-redeemable, so we'll be using this box on the right instead of the redeemable debt on the left. So we can start with the coupon rate. Our rates and our values can be found in the sentence here at debentures, and we can see that our coupon rate is 11%. We know our tax rate is 27% as it's stated over here. We know the market price of the ordinary share is up over there at 3.5. And we know the par value of debt is 100. We also know that the market price premium, which is this pricing, we can find over here the current market price is 105. And that gives us a percentage of 7.65, which we can then insert over here, 7.65 under debentures capital. Again, if you were using the redeemable table, you would insert the answer you get over there instead, but you're using this one, so please insert this one. Next, we can move on to bank loan, which can be found right next to debt over here. Bank loan is very easy. You just look for the interest of the bank loan, which is 14%. And then the tax rate, which you can insert over there, which is 10.22. And that will give you a WACC of 15.81. And you can then also insert your answers into the sheet over here. So I'll speed up the video as I insert all of the answers in over here. So I've just put the values of this one in right over here, and the cost of ordinary shares, cost of preference shares, after tax and so on can be found right over here. So you'll just insert those. And lastly, we can calculate the weighted average cost of capital. Proportions can be found right over here. Individual costs can be found right over here. And weighted cost can be found right over here. And then finally, WACC, which you can write in right at the end of here, can be found over here. So if you follow the steps and use the spreadsheet to answer all the questions you needed, you can actually gain a total of 5, 10, 15, 25 marks. That's an easy 25 marks that you can get in your exam for 10 minutes, maybe 8 minutes of work. Yeah, so I wish you the best of luck.